We're going to start this module with a reflection back to your last assignment. You've just turned in Essay 1, and I'll be looking over those characterization essays in the next couple of days. I'll get my feedback and your grade back to you as soon as I can. In the meantime, I want you to post one body paragraph with your thesis statement above your body paragraph to the Essay 1 discussion board. I want you to post that body paragraph and then respond to two other posts from your peers using the puzzle strategy that's in your textbook as a criteria for your feedback. So make sure that the topic sentences are making a claim. Then you have text evidence is in the paragraph from the short story, as well as a sentence following that text evidence to provide interpretation for your reader. It's not enough to just say, so-and-so is a kind character, and then give a quote where she's kind, and then move on to something else. You need to pull something from the quote, hook into the quote as your lead-in, such as seen by her kind personality through her interaction with her sister, and then go on to explain the quote and its relevance to your claim. So you are providing a link for your reader from your claim to the text evidence to your interpretation. That's what you can use to respond to one another. I know that it can be uncomfortable to critique another person's writing, but honestly, we all are in a place that we can improve, and hearing feedback from one another is beneficial to you, as well as hearing feedback from me. So as we proceed through this term, it will help your writing to get feedback and revision notes from one another as well as from me. This week you're also going to read chapters 19 and 20 in your textbook, and those cover MLA formatting rules and rules for integrating quotes. Also, it goes over plagiarism and how to be sure that you're giving credit where credit is due. I have a link to a website as well in the modules list for Module 2. You need to go over that website and be sure that you are very, very, very clear on what constitutes plagiarism. At best, you would receive a 0 on an assignment for plagiarizing. At worst, you would get an F for the course, and I will send in paperwork for academic dishonesty to the English department as well as to the student affairs dean. So this is not an offense that I take lightly, as it is important for you to own your own work and not use ideas of others, but it works both ways. I'm also protecting others from using your work as well. So when you submit your work to turn it in, it is forever logged as your submission. And if at any time in the future someone else comes across your paper and tries to use it as their own or as his own, then your work will also be protected. So it goes both ways. I'm not just here to say I gotcha, or sneak around and try to get you when you least expect it. I'm here to help maintain academic integrity for all parties. So be sure that when you are using outside sources, you understand when to use quotation marks, when to use in-text citations, how to do the citation on the works cited page, and specifically with paraphrasing, you're borrowing the idea, not the order of the words. So sometimes when people might get a little bit tired or a little bit lazy, the synonym syndrome happens, and you write basically the same sentence, but you just plug in synonyms. That also constitutes plagiarism. So be sure that when you are paraphrasing, that your words are not so close in order and phrasing that it is that similar to the original source, while maintaining the integrity of the original idea. So there are a lot of things to go over in chapters 19 and 20. You need to pay special attention to those chapters because you'll be using that information for the remainder of the course. And then go ahead and take the quiz on chapters 19 and 20 that I have posted. I have an additional video for your research log. You're going to start thinking about your research paper during this module, and the other video goes through step by step what I want you to do to once you've picked your topic, to do your research questions. So the research paper has to be an argumentative essay, meaning you have to take a stance on a controversial issue. I'm asking specifically that you take a stance on a controversial issue within your chosen occupational cluster. So if you have a major, I would like for your paper to relate in some way to what your major is, or possibly to what job you have currently if you're working in some capacity and not a full-time student. So you want to talk about what the occupation is, what are the big controversial issues about that occupation. Be sure that it's something relevant, though, something current. You don't want to talk about something that happened 50 years ago, because I want this paper to be an assignment that can benefit you personally as you look into what career you might want to have or make a change. So be sure to find something that you connect to, that you're interested in just in general, but that will help you with this assignment. So once you do your topic, you want to come up with some open-ended research questions, and really think about and revise those questions, because for instance, not a good research question would be, how many years should a doctor be in school? I can find the answer to that in about 2 seconds. Maybe give me a full minute, but I can just Google or look up the answer to that on even Wikipedia would have external links that would be credible, that I could find the answer to that. A research paper needs to be something, a question that you can't just type into Bing or Google or Yahoo search and find the answer. So it needs to be something open-ended. Perhaps how do professional organizations such as the American Academy of Pediatrics affect pediatricians' choice for childhood wellness visits? Something like that. You can't find the answer to that in just a moment. There are so many different angles to that question that you would need to look into, perhaps weight and height percentiles for children, vaccination schedules, developmental milestone, what's the word I'm looking for? Age ranges that are appropriate for developmental milestones, all kinds of different things that go into that question. So be sure that you ask something that you can't find the answer to in just a moment. You want something that's going to require some additional research. So that's your research log, entry 1, the topic, the questions, and then choose one question to find an answer to with 2 sources. There should be, let me check. Yes, there are directions at the bottom of this overview page for databases through Hines. So you'll go to the Hines website, click on Libraries on the left list of tabs, then click on Databases, I believe is kind of in the lower right section. You will choose either Academic Search Complete or Opposing Viewpoints would be the 2 databases that work best for you. I recommend Opposing Viewpoints, honestly, because everything in there is with the understanding that it is argumentative, opposing viewpoints. So you're going to get articles that come up pro and con, or for and against, whatever the topic is. That will help you just from the starting line, because the hardest part about my paper that I've seen in the past, students tend to want to write an informational paper instead of an argumentative paper. And you will hear me say over and over and over again through the next 3 weeks, you must take a stance. And that stance must be clear in the first paragraph of your paper. So once you click on one of those databases, log in with the same username and ID and password you use for Canvas. Choose Browse Topics, or type in a search term and just get started going through some information there. Anything you find on those 2 databases will be credible and will be useful to you in some capacity as far as getting into the research. Be very careful if you choose to look up anything through Google, Bing, Yahoo, those sorts of search engines, because there's no guarantee that everything is credible. Blog entries generally are not very credible, especially if you're looking into something that is well, argumentative. I mean, everyone has their own opinion. So I could create a blog and talk about how, I think the world is going to end next year and just write all kinds of evidence and make it sound very convincing. But that doesn't mean that I know anything about the world coming to an end next year. So be very, very careful when you're using search engines that are not filtered by an academic database. Once you've done research log 1, let me come back up here. I have a PowerPoint presentation with narration that I would like for you to watch on theme and conflict. Your first essay was a characterization essay, and that's kind of a simple way to get into the idea of literary analysis. You're using the literature to back up your argument about one character. Now we're going to write an essay about conflict and theme. Either or, you can choose a conflict or a theme. And there's more information about that in the PowerPoint. But basically, you are going to argue that this short story has this big idea, and then give me 3 paragraphs to explain why. So you could use 3 different characters to support your argument. You could use symbols, you could use point of view, you could use any literary technique or device, but all of your body paragraphs are supporting that thesis that you made about the short story as a whole. Chapters 32 and 37 in For Our Students has information about conflict and theme, so you also need to look over those 2 chapters. They're very, very short. And then I have, for your reading selections for Essay 2, the short stories, The Lottery, Hills Like White Elephants, and Why I Live at the PO. So I've given you different links on that page, each of those pages, for the text and some audio files as well. This last essay, you just used the short story. In this one, you also need to use the article that I posted. So you will have 2 sources for this essay, the short story and the critical article. Let's see, I also have Essay 2 discussion. We'll be posting in there through this next module to discuss different aspects of your writing, so feel free to pop in there and just treat that like a class discussion. You can respond to the question that I post. You don't necessarily have to. It's just something that I'm posting to get started for us to discuss what's going on with Essay 2. You do need an outline for Essay 2, so your file that you submit will be outline on the first page with an MLA header. Your essay starts on the second page with an MLA header, title, then your paper, continue paper, 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 and then your works cited page on the very end. So I believe that is everything. These modules are fairly extensive because of the abbreviated quality of this course. 8 weeks is just a very short amount of time to get in the reading, the short essays, and the research paper. But I hope that you are hanging in there. I think our next module will probably be the toughest one as we finish up our 3rd short essay, as well as kind of getting into the research paper. And once we get over that hump, it should be a little bit easier workload as you are just focusing on the research paper for the next several weeks. So, as always, I'm here to answer your questions. If you feel that you are getting behind, please message me and we will talk about it. I will give you some tips on research and writing, and I will do a little bit of research of my own on your topic to kind of get you started in a better direction than where you find yourself getting a little frustrated and off track. So please message me this week. I will be here for office hours on Tuesday night at 7 and Thursday mornings. So I will see you then if any of you stop by.